This is Freckled Ham, and you are listening to Rantish. Okay, this episode is not going to be like regular episodes. I fully planned to record an episode and have this be a segment of the episode, and this being my thoughts and frustration and rants around the show The Summer I Turned Pretty. But the more I got into this show, the more I thought this needs to be its own episode because people want to be able to opt out of this episode. And truthfully, I hope that there are people that do, because if you have not gotten sucked into this, I'm telling you to run. Do not do it. Anybody who told me to watch the show, I'm officially mad at you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not really mad at you, but I am mad at myself because I don't usually get sucked in to these sorts of things. I did not care about Love Island. I knew that was like all the talk of the town. Truly did not care. And I am trying to figure out why I decided to watch the show. Part of the thing was Steven was out of town because he was going to do his race, his like triathlon thing. And so he had gone up with some friends the night before. They were staying in an Airbnb. So I was like, okay, I have tomorrow night with him gone, and I'll just like binge the show, which they kind of do a bait and switch because the first season, correct me if I'm wrong, the first season, the episodes are only 30 minutes. And that's very bingeable. But then they turn into hour-long episodes. I actually don't know if that's true, but I was pretty sure. The first season, I feel like, was really easy to get through. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. The second season, I wish I had listened to you, Mary. I wish I had only watched the first two episodes and then just skipped to season 3. But I felt like I was already in it so far. I just wanted to keep watching. Have I even said what I'm talking about yet? I think I did. I am talking about this silly show called The Summer I Turned Pretty. I actually started listening to the books a few weeks ago because I'd heard everybody talking about it, and I like to listen to books. I'm a big audiobooks person. And so I had gotten it on hold, the first one from Libby. If you're not using Libby, what are you doing? It's the best. It's the best. Anyway, I listened to like the first, I don't even know if I made it through the first chapter, but something about the way the person, is it called a narrator when it's an audiobook? I don't know. Whatever the person reading the book, who apparently is actually the same actress as the girl, Lola Tongue, is that her name? She also reads the book. And her as an actress doesn't bother me. She was fine. But something about the way that she was like smiling and kind of like, like giggling the whole first chapter, I couldn't. It was too distracting, I guess. I couldn't keep reading the book. Anyway, on Thursday night, in a weak moment, I decided to start binging this series. And I was feeling good about that decision through the first season. And then through the second season, I was not sure. And now I'm truly not even sure I want to finish. I think I just want to be done right now. I don't think I want to watch. I think there's 2 more episodes, and I don't even think I want to watch them. And I have to make a formal apology to any person, specifically my dear husband, Steven Olsen. But to any person who I have given a hard time around getting emotionally invested in sports games, yeah, I'm sorry, because I have for years, I've never understood like why people would subject themselves to that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's just a game. It's silly. Like, why would you get emotionally worked up over something so silly? Like, yeah, watch the game. You can be disappointed. You can be happy. Cool. But like, don't let it spoil your evening. Don't fester in it, like don't let it impact you in your day-to-day life. Yeah. I'm just going to have to say I'm sorry, because the amount of emotional, I don't even know the word, just energy that I have given to this show in the last 4 days is disgusting. I'm disgusted with myself, not only for watching it, because like binging a show is fine, but for how much I have let it impact my mood. I have no justification. I can say nothing. Okay, let me get into it. Because I have my notes here, and I don't know how long this is going to be, but I have things to say. There will be spoilers. I'm just going to come out and say that. And yeah, hopefully if you're not watching the show, then great. You can just ignore this entire thing. But I am going to first give a shout out to the unofficial sponsor of this podcast, which is my Bose Ultra Open Ear headphones, because they are what allowed me to watch this show. I don't even want to know how many hours I've spent watching this show while also shopping in Walmart. And what else did I do while I watched the show? Obviously, like making dinner, cleaning the kitchen, taking care of my children, really everything I have done with one of these in so that I could be keeping up with the show. Okay. Oh, I had one more thought about the emotional investment. So I truly felt like I was, because back to the sports thing. Okay. We're going back to the sports thing for a second. I felt like one of those crazy sports fans who are yelling at the TV as though it makes any difference, because I was yelling. I was whooping. I was shrieking. The emotions, like I could not hold them in. That is not normal for me and a TV show. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed, okay? I resisted watching the show, one, because the first chapter of the book that I read, I was like, nah. But also because I just don't love watching like high school TV shows, like shows that are right now where I'm in my life and they are in high school. Like it's not something I particularly enjoy. But I knew that in this most recent season, she was engaged to Jeremiah. I didn't know anything about what that meant, but obviously I have seen things online. And so I knew that she was an adult now. And so I thought, okay, maybe I could get into it because it starts when they're in high school, but then it's going to finish up when they're adults. And so maybe it will be more relevant to me. I'm just going to tell you what I knew going in, okay? I knew that she was engaged to Jeremiah and that Conrad was going to like tell her that he loved her, because I had seen clips of that on like TikTok or whatever. So, and I had seen the thing about, there was some allegation or allusion to him having cheated on her pretty recently that Conrad brings up. So I had seen that, 30-second clip. And so I went into the show expecting, and I knew that they were brothers. I knew that their family had this history because, like I said, I listened to the first chapter of the book. And so in my mind, it was like, okay, when she was a kid, she always loved Conrad. Then she like couldn't really ever have Conrad. She settled for Jeremiah, but Jeremiah is like a playboy and he's like flirting around, sleeping around, like doesn't treat her very well. And so ultimately she ends up getting engaged to Jeremiah. But then Conrad comes and kind of like saves her because they have like a really bad relationship. And then she runs off to in the sunset with Conrad. That was what I was expecting to happen going into the show. So color me shocked when I watched the show and I found absolutely nothing to like about Conrad. I am, and this is what made me so angry. Because I am just confused how I watched the same show as everybody else. And yet when I did a poll on my stories, 80-something% of the people, it was like 300 people voted for Team Conrad and like 30 people voted for Team Jeremiah. And I'm like, what? I understand not wanting to be Team Jeremiah, but feeling like Conrad is better? I am sick. I am like actually more sick than I would like to admit over this, like a pit in my stomach. And I think that's what made me so angry watching the show, was because I was like, how are people so into this guy that is, in my opinion, not a good fit for her? And I understand people are like, oh, he's going through it a lot. I get that. Side note, Jeremiah is also going through a lot. Not to say that I am here as like Jeremiah's biggest cheerleader. I also don't think it's a great fit. But I am baffled. Okay. Let me just get to the notes. Okay. I also feel like this might be helpful context because I am someone who got married at age 21 to someone with curly hair and blue eyes who is very much like the golden retriever energy. Okay. Which that is all Jeremiah. Not to say Jeremiah doesn't have his flaws. He does. And everybody on this show is so severely flawed. Justice for Cam Cameron. Why did we get rid of Cam Cameron so fast? Cam Cameron seemed to have a good head on his shoulders. He seemed like he was a solid guy who had also his own level of trauma and grief, but yet seemed like he had healed. Maybe because he'd had a little bit more time. Fair. But like, where'd he go? You know, I want to know what happened to Cam Cameron. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if I would say I have a type per se, as far as like, oh yeah, Jeremiah is totally my type. But like, if I was going to choose between, somebody put it as like, oh, well, yeah, I've never been in what did they say? I got a DM that was basically saying like, yeah, well, I'm team Conrad because I'm more of drawn to black cat energy, which extremely accurate description. Conrad equals black cat energy. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't like cats. So yes, is this a me problem? 1,000%. This is the problem. I am usually somebody who is very middle of the road. I feel like I can see both sides to almost everything. Truly. I truly try to see the other side. I mean, everything feels dramatic, but you know what I mean. And I just am confused. I'm confused how it's not a little bit more evenly split. Like, how is it not 50-50? How is it 330? That is the part that is so confusing to me. Because if we know anything about Conrad, it's that when he is going through a hard time, he retreats. He shuts down. And I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I am saying that's going to hurt relationships. Like, it's really hard to be in relationships with people who completely shut down when they're having a hard time. Granted, they showed he went to therapy. They had that little thing with him and the therapist. Cool. He has shown some healing in that, but he can't even tell his therapist that Belly exists. So clearly there's a lot more healing to do. I'm just confused. Okay. And this is the problem too, is that I thought, because going into it, I knew that Jeremiah cheated on her. Like I knew that from the spoiler that I saw on TikTok like a week ago or whatever. So I assumed that it was like he was a player. He was a jerk. He treated her poorly. He was like sleeping around all the time. I thought it was going to cut, because when I did my poll on Instagram after I had gotten halfway through season 2, everyone was like, just wait till episode 1 of season 3. You'll understand. You're going to hate Jeremiah. Jeremiah is the worst. Go Conrad, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, it's all going to come out. And then it comes out. I'm like, oh, not to diminish or dismiss the fact that he slept with that girl. I don't know if I'm going to say it was cheating because they were broken up. Okay. Was the breakup weird? Yeah, 100%. Was it weird that he slept with the girl? Yeah, 100%. Do I think it was okay? No. Do I think that Belly would have been totally justified if she never wanted to speak to him or get back with him? Absolutely. But there is a difference between him having an ongoing affair and treating her really poorly throughout their entire 4-year relationship and him sleeping with that girl that one time. Again, I'm not saying it was okay. I'm not saying, yes, he is completely forgiven. He has no flaws, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that the way that Conrad treated her, I think was just as bad. And the fact that she was kind of having an emotional affair with Conrad was just as bad. I don't know. I think an emotional affair is a lot. And like, yeah, they didn't do anything, but like she lied to him about not being with Conrad. Like she is a problem. Okay. And okay, oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts. These children, these poor children do not have enough support because their parents also did not have enough support. Like this is just heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking story because all of these people are perpetuating not great things. I don't know how else to say it. Like the way that Laurel acted towards Belly with the whole wedding thing was absolutely infuriating. And again, maybe it's because I got married at 21. Okay, I was 22, but I turned 22 literally the day after my birthday was the day before I got married. So like I was barely 22. And like, I get that it's a very different culture. I get that like it's very normal not where I grew up, but like where I live to get married that young. And I know that's not normal in the rest of the world, but like to literally, and okay, oh my gosh, I can't even say a coherent thought because I'm so frustrated, you guys. This is insane. This is my whole thing, right? Motherhood is a relationship. And what does she do? She tries to completely absolve the relationship because she doesn't like one of the decisions that her adult daughter is making. That is literally the antithesis of everything I stand for. She came around, obviously, kind of, I mean, begrudgingly, but she did show up physically, emotionally, could be swayed either way. But the way that she treated Belly, and I know we're not going to get it 100% of the time. When our kids make rash decisions, like we might have big reactions, but immediately after is when we go back and we say, hey, you know what? That was completely inappropriate what I said to you. That was completely inappropriate how I acted. I don't love this decision for you, but I love you and I'm going to support you in your decisions. Because that is what motherhood is. It's a relationship. It's not I'm going to withhold my time and my affection and my connection with you because you're making decisions I don't like. No. And I know there's more to it because she's like, well, she's obviously projecting her choices and her trauma from like her marriage. And like, I get it. But that's the whole point of parenthood is getting over your own stuff so that you can still be there for your kids when they're going through their stuff. That is what I mean when I say motherhood is a relationship. People keep asking me what I mean by that. That is what I mean. Get over your own stuff, crap, okay? So that you can continue to have a relationship with your kids even when they are going through their crap and you're not projecting your own crap onto them. Okay, let's go. Conrad needs a haircut. I absolutely hate his hair. It's awful. Okay, that's what I was going to say because I was listening to The Weekly Trash and she had just a little segment about the show and how she's Team Conrad. And she was like, Jeremiah's too pretty boy. So I'm like, maybe that's why. Maybe people just think Conrad is more attractive and that's why everybody's Team Conrad. That's true because that was basically the only reason why she gave was that she thought that Jeremiah was too pretty and so she liked Conrad better. I'm like, okay, well, if that's all it is, fine. But if there's actually a reason, like if there's actually evidence of him treating Belly well while they're together, show it to me. This is, okay. If they wanted me to be Team Conrad, because I'm sure she's going to end up with Conrad, which at this point, I hope she ends up with truly nobody, at least not for like 5 years, okay? They needed to show more of her and Conrad in the good times. Because she would, you're expecting me to buy into this nostalgia of him finding her in the mall when she went to play with the unicorns and being like, okay, we're never going to split up from now on. Or like him letting her use his bike when she's 6. That is supposed to be enough for me to be rooting for him when he is grumpy and mean, actively mean to her because he's going through something hard. I don't get it. I don't get it. I am 100% certain that the books would give more context. I am sure that if I read the books, I would be Team Conrad, because I'm sure the books, because again, from that first chapter gave me way more context about Conrad than any of the show did, honestly. And I'm sure it would have been it would have made more sense. But from what I saw on the show, I saw Belly smiling, happy, genuinely in a good mood when she was with Jeremiah. And I saw her grumpy and edgy and moody when she was with Conrad. That is what I saw. And again, I can understand people being anti-Jeremiah. I will completely support that. But being pro-Conrad, what? I am baffled. Like, to the point where I had to go back and be like, is there an episode that I missed? Did I somehow skip the episode where he is like the sweetest, best, most amazing boyfriend who like does all these super sweet things for her, and like that one episode is supposed to make up for all the other really, really mean things that he did? I'm still waiting. Maybe they'll release that episode and then I'll be swayed. But until then, I don't get it. Also, she totally did Jeremiah dirty, because when Conrad accuses Jeremiah of cheating on her, she doesn't tell him like, oh, actually he broke up with me before that trip. Would that have changed his mind? No, he probably was a bit mad about it. But like, that is an actually crucial piece of the conversation that I feel like people were glossing over many, many times. Okay. Also, when he came in, oh my gosh. So he comes to her at the beach. I want to punch him in the face, but I actually loved, this is the part of the sports game where I'm like, touchdown, because what she says to him when he comes to her at the beach, literally perfection. Agreed. I'm going to find it and I'm going to read to you exactly what she says to him, because this is all the reasons why she should not be with Conrad. I'm not even going to make the case here that she should be with Jeremiah. I'm just going to say these are Belly's own words of why her and Conrad are not a good fit. Okay? It took me a few minutes, but I found the transcript. This is what she says. She says, "You will never be what Jer is to me. He's my best friend and he loves me no matter what. He doesn't take it away when things get hard. Nobody has ever treated me the way he does. Nobody, least of all you." From the mouth of Belly herself. But yet people are still rooting for this guy. She literally said he took his love away when things got hard. I'm confused. I'm confused. I am confused. And I'm trying to figure out, again, why I am so in the minority on this. Because I can't even, my brain is like literally broken. My brain is broken. I am sick. I am mad at myself for being so emotionally invested in this. I don't even want to finish the last 2 episodes. Like, I don't even care what happens to these people anymore. Which is why I've, been sitting here talking about this for 30 minutes. I am baffled. I am baffled how I saw the same thing as so many other people, and I am so in disagreement of that relationship being a positive relationship that we're rooting for. Because here's the thing, Steven and Taylor, I'll admit, the first season, I wasn't crazy about Taylor. I feel like she kind of turned on Belly a few times and like did things that I was like, I don't know if she has Belly's best interest in heart. But she, in the end, loved her. Also, need I remind you that she was Team Jeremiah from the beginning. And I feel like if your best friend is rooting for that guy, and if Jeremiah had been treating Belly poorly their whole relationship, then obviously Taylor would not be supporting that. But Taylor believes that Belly is truly happy with Jeremiah. So like Conrad saying all of this literally the day before she's supposed to get married, like, and people thinking that was like romantic and cute. I am disgusted. Like, could he not have at least said it a few weeks before? They've been together at that house for how long without Jeremiah? Like, what? Okay. But back to Taylor. Taylor and Steven. Also, arguably, not arguably, not a healthy relationship, okay? They've got their issues. But I have seen them together enough to root for them. I've seen them together enough, and like I know each of them enough to be like, I want them to be together, even though I know it's not the most healthy thing in the world. I know they're going to have their challenges. They're going to have their issues. They need therapy. Everybody needs therapy. Yes, I'm still rooting for them. I never had that with Conrad. I have never felt connected with his character whatsoever. Which leads me again to, did I miss an episode? But one episode wouldn't be enough. I would need a whole season in which I am seeing Conrad treat Belly well when they're over the age of 12, right? Like the only scenes where he's like genuinely good to her is when they're like children. And half the time it's because his mom told him to. Because his mom, that's another weird thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, his mom obviously knew she was dying, which like, I'm not even like, I can't even imagine. I can't even put myself in that situation. But then like pushing him to Belly because it's like his mom wants to feel connected like in their love story is weird. He's 15. I'm sorry. That's weird. I'm not judging because I would probably do weird things too if I was about to die. I get it, but it's just confusing. Oh my gosh. And then don't even get me started on their dad. Okay. Oh, this was what I was going to say too. Because I know that if I read the books, it'd be different. As a matter of fact, at about 1 a.m. this morning, I was on Reddit. I found myself on Reddit on a thread that was like books. So this was a thread about Jeremiah versus Conrad, strictly from the books. It was an old thread, like before the show even came out. And from the context in that thread, it made a lot more sense of like why Jeremiah and her relationship was not healthy, because they were talking about how like Jeremiah really, really, really was seeking approval from his dad, which like the show alludes to that, but not to the same degree that the book does, I think. Which like, who isn't seeking approval from their dad? Like, obviously that's natural. His daddy issues are far beyond because his father is a piece of work, arguably the biggest villain on the show. Is that even arguable? Everybody agrees he's the biggest villain. But he basically, there was like reason to believe that Jeremiah was only pursuing Belly because Conrad was kind of like the golden boy. And I can't exactly remember. I'm too tired. Like I said, it was like at 1 a.m. that I read that and I can't remember, but I understand after reading that Reddit thread, I understood, okay, yes, I can see why if that context was more prevalent on the show, then okay, yeah. The other thing too, there's like Jeremiah is just like a walking red flag. I'm like, okay. And Belly isn't, okay. And Conrad isn't. All of these people are walking red flags, including Laurel, including their dad. I can't even remember, John or something. These people are all red flags. Okay. But like, I don't think that Jeremiah is a bigger red flag than anybody else on the show. That's what I'm going to say. Again, am I the captain of the Team Jeremiah fan club? Do I think him and Belly should be together forever? No. And do I remember that this is all fictional? Yes, but sometimes I have a hard time because I don't know why I am so passionate about this. I'm disturbed. I'm disturbed by myself. I am writing off drama TV forever because apparently I cannot manage my own emotions. And me nor my family can live this way. This is crazy. Steven is like, what is going on? And truthfully, he has every right. He has every right because I am not in a good place. I'm not. It's crazy. Have I made it abundantly clear that I have never felt like this before? Especially over a ridiculous TV show. My other question is like, especially high school TV shows. So this is more like the beginning season stuff. Every time you watch a show that's like rich teenagers living their rich teenager life, I'm like, I would love to talk to people that are actually, that is this real? Like, obviously I know it's Hollywood, it's media, but like, are they getting this from real? Are people in high school really showing up at parties with like hundreds of people there? Steven and I were talking about this and comparing our high school experiences. He said he went to a few parties and he was like, there were maybe like 50 people there. I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. I feel like in these rich TV show teen dramas, they're like 500 people at this party at someone's house on the weekend. Like, is that really happening? Because if that is your experience, I'd love to hear more details. I'd love to hear how that went. Really curious. Also, just like the parents were confusing because in some ways it was like they were very open with their kids and like they had a very open communicative relationship, but then in other ways very much not, which I'm sure is probably indicative of the human experience. Like people are open about talking about certain things, but not other things. I don't know. Oh, but I was going to say too, like, who is this show geared for? Is this show or the books even, both, is it meant for high schoolers? I know people's kids are watching this show and I know people are watching this with their kids, which I would love to talk to them about that too. Because yeah, I think I'm sure my mom, if she would listen to the beginning of this episode, I'm sure she's long gone by now and she would not ever watch the show or sign off on me watching the show, even as an adult. So I'd love to hear about that experience of like watching a show like this with your kids and how that goes. I mean, I was talking to Steven about this too, because on the one hand, it's like, I'm sure it brings up a lot of conversations that probably wouldn't be brought up otherwise. It's just like a very easy segue into conversations about drinking, into conversations about sex, about conversations about parent-child dynamics and relationships. Like I could see that being really cool to like have a jumping point for some of those conversations. At the same time, I guess I'm just like, it was programmed so strongly in my head to like not watch shows like this, that the thought of watching a show like this, even with like my, teenage children, is just like so mind blowing to me. I can't even fathom it. So I'd love to hear about that experience as well. Okay. I think I'm going to call it there because I actually was planning on recording like an actual podcast that had other things about than just this before my child woke up from his nap. I don't know if I'm going to have time. But I don't know. We'll see if I decide to watch the last few episodes. And then we'll see if after I've had a few days to just kind of like cool down, truly, maybe I'll be able to bring someone who's like staunchly Team Conrad on and we can like chat so I can understand a little bit more about their perspective. Because like I said, usually I don't know if I finished that thought because I don't know if I've finished a single coherent thought on this entire podcast episode. Like I said, usually am really better at like seeing both sides and understanding like, okay, well, like, yeah, I could see why people are this and think that way. And like, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, right? Not this time. And I'm so much so not that way that I am like, don't even want to hear the Conrad love. Like, I just don't even want to hear it. But maybe in a few weeks, if I don't watch the last few episodes, maybe I will be in a better place. But also maybe I just need to move on. Okay, maybe I just need to not ever think or speak about this subject ever again. I think that would bring more harmony to my home and to my relationships. So we will see. Okay, let me just look at my notes one more time and make sure I didn't. I have "get that boy a haircut" in all caps. I know I already said it, but it needs to be reiterated. Oh my gosh, his hair is so bad. I'm sorry. I can't do it. All right. Apologies again to Steven for giving him a hard time about getting emotionally invested into sports games, because I am no longer one to talk. Oh my gosh, the last thing that I will say that is not... Okay, no, I have two more things. One, people talking about Belly being annoying and whiny. I heard that a lot. I heard that a lot before I even started watching the show. And then I also got that a lot in the DMs from people. And honestly, didn't notice. I didn't notice. I think she is annoying because she like just needs to make up her mind and go with it. And like, yeah. But I don't know. Whiny isn't the word I would use. Immature, 100%. Everybody on this show is immature. I've already covered that. Not to say I'm like the, the picture of maturity as I'm here getting worked up about a ridiculous TV show. But it needed to be said. Okay, and then the last thing I will say is the soundtrack budget. Are we kidding? I would love to know how much they spent just on the soundtrack for that show. Because, I mean, it was flawlessly done. I was very amazed. It was a showcase of Taylor Swift's catalog for sure. How do I say this? I'm only familiar with like the Taylor Swift music that you hear on the radio, not like the more chill movie soundtrack-esque Taylor Swift, but it worked. It was great. I was a big fan. And it actually made more sense to me because a lot of those songs are not songs that I would listen to ever, but as the background of a show, they were perfect. They were truly perfect. I truly think she was like half of the songs played, which just is props to her for having such an amazing selection to choose from. But yeah, I would be really curious to know how much it costs for them to license all that music. Because it wasn't just Taylor Swift. Like it was Gracie Abrams. It was like everybody. It was so much music. So just, random. Somebody in the DM said that they were like team soundtrack because I hated the show, but the soundtrack was great. And I can stand for that. I agree. Team justice for Cam Cameron. And I truly think that's all that there is to say. End rant.